Amen. But yeah. Hello guys. Welcome back to the Bench Podcast with your host, Franklin. Today I have a guest. I promised you guests. I actually did promise guests. And I know I haven't been able to keep my promises in the best ways recently. I'm so sorry, guys. I've been having a hard time. That's actually what it is. Life has been. But we have a guest today. So I will introduce our guest. I'll introduce our guest. I'll let our guest introduce herself and we can get into it, if that's cool. So hello, our guest. Today Franklin. We have Jodie, and then I'll let you do the rest.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Jodie, and I am a sociologist. I work in University College Cork. My research is around the topic of lived experience, actually, and what that means, and when it means anything and when it means nothing, and what is subjectivity as a way of knowing, and how is it authoritative and how is it not.
Okay.
That is what my work is about.
Okay, that's big.
Yeah.
And
so that's me.
Lived experiences. It's funny that we're on a podcast that kind of focuses on lived experiences. How does that tie into your faith, or does it? Or how has it, I guess, is the way I would put it.
My research on the topic of lived experience definitely was informed by my experiences growing up in churches.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Are you messing with me right now?
Fair.
God, Franklin. Yeah, because of course, in religious circles, like everything is very subjective,
yes.
Right? God spoke to me.
Yeah.
I heard the Holy Spirit say, I have a word for you. Okay, do you? But what metric can I measure that by?
Yeah.
It's highly subjective and highly authoritative.
Yes.
And the thing is, I can critique that in religious and church settings, but actually that's not the only place it exists.
Okay.
People do this all the time, you know.
Yeah.
I have a certain experience, and really, if I'm going to tell you my experience, because it's my lived experience, the posture that you should take when you hear it is to defer.
Yes, because it's
my lived experience.
Yes. And
actually, what that can do is it can make claims, knowledge claims based on lived experience, the end of a conversation. And I guess my argument is that it shouldn't be the end of a conversation. It should be the start of a conversation.
Okay.
You know, and so I'm a girl, I'm white, I'm Irish. I can tell you about my experiences and you can tell me about yours, and they're going to be really different.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we always have to take a posture of deference. I think sometimes it's okay to say, hey, are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Or, you know, let me ask you more questions about that. And I wish that I had that capacity as a young person in the church.
Okay.
Because it's like you said earlier, Franklin, we were talking before we recorded about the man of God speaking, right?
Yeah.
And what do? You defer.
You defer. End
of conversation, right? What they say is, that's it. You just... They have the authority and you defer to it. And they have had some sort of a religious experience or word from God or something that we don't have any access to. We don't know if they're making that up or if it's true or not. We just don't know. But we don't know. Accept it. And we defer to it, and we see it as authoritative, and we actually will bend our lives around that word, you know. And what would have been the response, I wonder, if we would have said to that man of God, can I ask you about that?
Yeah.
What exactly happened there? Where did you get that from?
Yeah.
How sure you are that actually applies to me, you know?
Yeah.
Would that have been received well, I wonder?
That's a good question. Like, something you said about, so lived experience, man of God, and then authoritative. I want to lean on that authoritative part a bit because, like, I grew up in church and I grew up with a perception of God. And so, like, God is like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, God is the highest high, the greatest great. And then the man of God is like his second in command. And so the man of God speaks on God's behalf. And whatever the man of or woman of God says goes. And it's like, this person has become God to me.
Yeah.
And so whatever they say goes. And so it's like that authoritative aspect. How did it affect you? Like, how did it show up? How did you navigate it? Because you said, if you essentially knew what you knew now when you were younger. So like, how was it when you were younger?
I mean, I think honestly, it was total mind control, Franklin.
Okay.
No, but it was like
Yeah.
I was completely indoctrinated, and that indoctrination involved like constant self-critique, constant guilt, constantly feeling like I was failure if everybody actually knew the things I thought or the things I did. And I'm talking even as a very young child, like maybe as a 6 and a 7-year-old, you know, if anybody really knew the things I do or want to do. And this is like, this has been my whole life, you know, onward. You know, they would be horrified. And like, there were so many things, there's so much fear in my childhood. Like, fear of God, fear of judgment, fear of the rapture was a huge fear in my childhood.
Jodie.
There's people listening don't even know what the rapture is. Like,
you are saying some things. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But yeah.
So yeah, like I remember waking up at night and going to my dad died when I was very young, but going to my mom's bedroom and putting my ear to the door to see if I could hear her breathing, because I was sure I would be left behind, you know.
Yeah.
Because why did I think I was going to be left behind? I was a child.
Yeah.
I was just a child. Because I had been given so many narratives of sin and judgment that I had already judged myself. I was already bad and a sinner at a very young age. You know, so completely convinced that I would actually be left behind. And I look back on that now and I want to hug that little child, like, because what an awful thing to grow up thinking that you're so bad, you know, at such a young age. And in a way, I think it's sort of almost when you're so convinced of that, it almost like lays a trajectory for you, you know. So like there was a lot of things I did in my life because I went through many years of just being like very wild, and it's almost like I was proving to myself, see,
this is who we are.
that, yeah, I am bad, or I am transgressive in all these ways. Yeah, so I think, you know, sometimes this high control environment where we want the child to be obedient and we want the child to be a good maybe reflection on the family or something like that. You know, we want them to look good. It can actually have the exact opposite result of what the parent would have hoped it would have had, you know. So I think that leaders having high control, high authority, very low accountability, it is like a toxic mix.
Yeah, it's probably a recipe for disaster.
It's a recipe for disaster.
And like, if the disaster hasn't come, that's because it's on its way.
100%, yeah. And if you got away with it, like if you snuck through that kind of high control, high authority religious environment without being harmed, like, you're just lucky.
Yeah, no, you are. And like, you may not realize it as well, but it will sow seeds into your mind. Like, I think you were talking about the narrative surrounding sin and judgment and how that shaped your thinking about God when you were even like 6 or 7. So like, do you want to talk a bit about that? And the reason is because I want to be able to like reflect our experiences, because we were talking about it before and I was like, yeah, I think you and I have kind of grown up in really similar environments.
I think so. And also, interestingly, both have high anxiety.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting, you know? Sin and judgment. Yeah, so I mean, here's stuff I think. The Christian narrative can be really beautiful. And I think it has a lot of redemptive qualities. And it cannot be beautiful also. You know, a part of what can go very wrong, I think, in the Christian narrative is this concept that, like Calvin called it total depravity. That people are depraved from a very, from birth, really. And that there's a lot of narratives, and I've read the books, Franklin, around like very young children at the age of even 2 years old being manipulative, leaning into their sin nature. And the way that Christianity sometimes frames this is like, don't let them get the better of you. Don't let that sin get the better of you. Don't let it into your house. Discipline the child. Like, make the child obedient. Even if that means silencing the child through violence or slapping. As long as the child appears to be good and obedient. You don't know. Slap that child goes silent. You don't know what's going on inside the child. You silenced them on the outside, but probably not at all on the inside. But so you've got these depraved creatures that are terrible and bad, and what are they deserving of? Hell. And so again, like hell, that's a heavy narrative to grow up with as a very young child, and you're judging yourself constantly and kind of reinforcing like, well, guess I'm going to hell, and we can talk about hell. I'm sure I'm bringing up things about this, but anyway. Okay, so what I think that does then, and where this can go bad, is that Christians, and we see this in like missions organizations and all of this, is like, okay, well, how do we make this world a better place? How do we influence people? We've got to save them from hell. We've got to save them from hell. That's what we've got to do. So we've got to like go to all different places around the world, not have a clue about those places or what their culture or heritage is. We're just going to go with our white, Western, European narrative of saving them from hell, and we'll fix the world. And if you talk about anything in relation to actual justice, amelioration of suffering and poverty, Christians can like look at that and be like, that's just like moving chairs around, deck chairs on the Titanic. Like, it's sinking. Everybody's going to hell. Like, just get them saved. Why would we bother trying to improve this world or improve people's actual situations? And that's like utopian thinking, Franklin, because it's denying the reality of people's actual lives, breathing day in, day out on this earth, and just being like, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to worry about eternity. That's much, much more important. So ignore all this. Just get them saved for eternity. And I'm just like, no.
No, that's
no. Like, actually, people. So I look at Jesus, and I don't have any beef with Jesus. I like Jesus, and I think he was really embedded in his actual existence. And when he came across moments and situations where people were suffering, he did something about it. He wasn't like, oh, let's just get you to like be my disciple. He changed their situations, and he did it in a really like, kind of anti-cultural ways, like interacting with women, interacting with the sick, interacting with the rejected and the poor and the impoverished, and actually changing their situations on this earth. And so, if I want to follow Jesus or allow him to be my influence, then that's what I want to do with my life. I want to use his example to let my life be moving the deck chairs around in the Titanic. I think that's important, and so I want, if there is a sense of faith in my life, I want it to be something embodied of this earth, imminent in the moment, and not always, like just abstracting myself out of this world and thinking about how we can save people for eternity. I mean, having influence on people's lives is by being with them, right? Knowing them, loving them. And so if something like that is going to happen, then this comes first, I think.
No, I get that. Sorry, as you're talking, you're
banging my mic,
No, no.
ruining everything.
It's just, I think because the mic is heavy, it's leaning down. I'll come over and fix it. You just give me a sec. Sorry.
Okay.
You're good. Yeah. It's not you at all. I think the thing is just a little bit heavy for it.
Use your superpower to tighten it really, really, really tightly.
Tight.
Do the handbrake on it.
Yeah, that should be fine now. Oh. Yeah. Is that too close?
No, it's fine.
Okay. But yeah, no. I hear that.
Sorry, I ranted.
No. I think that's a good rant. And I feel like you needed to get that out.
I think so.
I think one of the things I've experienced, because kind of leaning into sin and judgment. So growing up, very sin-focused teaching. And like kind of like you said with total depravity, it's like, no, you are a sinner. You're a bad person. And so you're a problem that needs to be solved. You are a problem that needs to be solved. And God wants to solve that problem. And so how God is going to solve that problem is by you being a good person. And so if you're a good person and if you don't sin, you go to heaven. If you're a bad person and you do sin, you go to hell. And then there's the teaching surrounding the rapture of like, you never know when he's coming, so you always
Watch
be
out.
ready.
Yeah, it's like
Watch
Santa
out.
Claus.
It's like Santa Claus, like literally.
Yeah.
And he comes like a thief in the night. He could be coming at any moment. And like, if you've got sin that is unrepented of, at that moment, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
And like, that was the teaching. And it's so funny because growing up in Nigeria, I remember there was this movie, traumatized Jodie. It traumatized the heck out
Oh no, I bet I've
of
watched it,
me.
Franklin.
It was like this movie, it was a Nollywood movie, you might not have seen it, but it was essentially this movie where rapture actually happens.
Yeah.
And people are left behind.
Yeah.
And like the demons and all of the things come. And I remember like, because my auntie is like, she was...
Was it The Late Great Planet Earth?
I can't remember.
There's a movie like that called The Late
Okay.
Great Planet that I watched when I was a child. People getting their heads chopped off. It's terrifying.
Terrifying. And like, these were the things that were supposed to be used to, I guess, like strengthen your faith, like make you more zealous.
Yeah.
But all it did was
Through fear. Yeah.
All it did was terrify.
Yeah.
And then there's the cultural aspect. Nigerian culture is a very image focused culture.
Okay.
So looking the part rather than being the part.
Okay. Interesting.
And so, like, kind of like what you were saying in terms of you don't actually know what's going on in my head, but you are shaping me to present perfectly. That is both the culture on a kind of like a day-to-day basis, and that's also how a lot of faith is approached. So within the church, it feels like more emphasis is put on looking the part.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying for all churches, just the church and that kind of religious context I grew up in. And then within the family context, it looked similar. And so like, again, not feeling like an actual person, but feeling like an issue to be solved.
Yeah.
A problem to be resolved. Like
an image to be presented.
Exactly. And so you're taught to say the words, you're taught to do the things, but you don't actually like know the person, and put you in a state of fear. Like that religious upbringing, for me, what I found is it just made me terrified of God and of Jesus and of anything to do with faith. Like growing up, I had so much anxiety when it came to God. Like I used to have nightmares of my siblings drowning. And like this was recurring, constant.
Really?
I would have nightmares of my siblings drowning. And then I'd wake up in the night crying and praying like, God, please don't let them die.
Why?
God, please don't let
Why
them
do you
die.
think drowning?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if there was anything specific, but I would have them constantly. And it's like, this is because I'm a bad person. This is because I'm doing something bad. And
so
like,
their drowning was almost like some sort of consequence of something you had done.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That was how
That's
I
heavy.
processed it. And I was like, I need to be a good boy. And so like...
Literally to save your siblings' lives.
Literally to save my siblings' lives. And there's just so much like fear. And then some of the church experiences as well. Like talking about... talking about like, say some of those... I wouldn't even... Because I want to be careful not to diminish the spiritual, but
Okay.
also to share lived experience.
Yeah.
Because as much as I recognize that there is hyper spirituality in some areas, I still want to be able to like give respect and reverence to the actual spiritual, because I do believe it exists. But some of the experiences I have of all situations being hyper spiritualized, or like someone is being healed, but their healing looks like them being flung across a room, or someone being delivered and like they're being thrown into a deck of chairs and they're shivering on the floor and like everybody's screaming and praying in tongues and all of the things. Like, that is not what faith looks like, but that's what I grew up around.
Same.
And so like growing up background is just fear. Fear of God, fear of sin, fear of punishment, fear of shame. And kind of like what you said as well, it does become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It really does. Like, growing up, I want to do good, but everybody has only ever told me that I am the worst person. That I'm actually like I actually am depraved. Like, these desires actually are mine. And so growing up, it felt like I was biding my time in the church until I got the opportunity to actually act on those desires.
Yeah.
Like,
I totally relate to that.
That's when college comes and like,
Yeah.
I'm free.
Yeah, I'm free, and not only I'm totally depraved. So like, what am I gonna do?
Let's be having it.
Yeah.
let's have it. Like, let's have it. So
literally, so funny.
but
Yes.
I think, well, so that's kind of the start. What did the middle part of your faith look like? Because like the first part was that sort of spiritual formation in fear. What did the next part, that kind of like going crazy, did you have it in the back of your mind that God is still real and he exists?
Well, okay. Well, I don't know if I don't know. Yeah, I'm going. So, I couldn't rip out the indoctrination completely. So I don't really want to frame it in kind of nice ways, like God exists. It wasn't like that. It was just like a constant, like, even though when I had my kind of wild years or whatever, I traveled on my own.
Okay.
I just wanted to be on my own, Franklin.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted to get away from all of the restraints and be by myself. So I just backpacked like around a lot of the world by myself.
Okay.
And made friends along the way, you know, but somehow then I could be free of all of the baggage. I would just be Jodie. Jodie with backpack, you know, and they could just meet me at face value, you know, and not know all of the stuff. But then I actually, like, in my backpack was my Bible.
Okay.
So, and you know, it was like all highlighted and notes down the side and everything. I still have that Bible, and so I couldn't quite shake it.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry that I'm framing this in really negative terms.
No, it's so
but
cool.
then I was traveling, and I was just like, I say wild, but like maybe normal people wouldn't. Maybe I was relatively normal, you know, to go to college. Like it's what everyone does, right? You know, we just but I guess it was. I was traveling. I was traveling a lot by myself, and then when I was 24, I kind of I guess a lot of the kind of consequences of my wild living, like that prodigal, right? Kind of were hitting. And anyway, I moved home, and I had a kind of a conversion experience.
Okay.
So bear in mind, raised in really Pentecostal circles, also very prosperity gospel-y.
Okay.
Super prosperity gospel-y.
That's a sensational mix.
Oh,
wow.
what a mix.
That is, yeah.
What a mix. Yeah.
That's like worse and worse.
So do you know who Creflo Dollar is?
I do know who Creflo Dollar
Okay.
is.
So,
that is hilarious.
Yes.
But please continue.
Wait for it. So I'm back home, and I'm in my mum's house, and I'm kind of allergic to all things Christianity, and I was like painting the garden fence, and I come into the room and she's watching God TV or whatever, and I'm like perched on the edge of the couch to get the heck out of there as fast as I can, drink my glass of water, and Creflo Dollar is preaching on the television, and I don't know what he said, but he said this: I don't know all the other things he said, but I just remember he said the sentence. He said, if you're out there, so embarrassing. He's like, if you're out there smoking reefer, being cool and acting like a fool, just remember that he said that sentence. And I was like, part of me was like, what? What are you going to say? Like, you know, you're a sinner, you're totally depraved, like you're going to hell. But actually he said, if that's you, if the shoe fits, he said, just take it off. And I don't know, something in me in that moment, even though it was Creflo Dollar on God TV, something in me was like, because I had been living like a really quite unhealthy lifestyle, you know, and I wasn't making good choices, and I knew that, like, and I was kind of exhausted from it all, and something in that sentence just kind of like unlocked something in my brain, and I thought, wow, I could just stop. Like, I could just stop living this way, you know, this really unhealthy way. And I went up to my room, and I guess it's the only framework I had. Like, what do you do if you want to make a life choice? You talk to God. You know, that's all I'd been given in my life. And so that's what I did. I talked to God, and I was like, if you're there, like, can you help me? I don't really want to keep making these choices, you know? And so then I had like quite a dramatic conversion experience, and I was like super zealous and really into going to church, and like I kind of like also made a lot of really other stupid choices in that time. Like, I definitely alienated a lot of very good friends, and thankfully, and I'm really, like, really truly grateful for it, but those friendships did actually survive, and they are still my friends today. But that's just more of a testimony to them being decent people than to me. And then, you know, so like, you know, so then I was like, whatever, I was really being a Christian, and I was like really into it and everything, and it was good. And that was the middle part.
That was
there
the
you
middle
go.
parts. No, that's it. Do you know what's actually like really like getting to me? I didn't realize we were so similar. Actually, I wouldn't have put it. I wouldn't have put it.
Did
that way.
Creflo Dollar also have an
It was.
influence?
It just wasn't Creflo Dollar for me,
It
man.
just wasn't
It
Creflo.
just wasn't Creflo. No, because
You're lucky.
Creflo Dollar is associated with like prosperity gospel.
Totally. And
like,
isn't that like mad that his name is Dollar?
it is like, I don't know. Was he made for this job?
I think he was made for the
who
job.
actually
Yeah,
knows?
he knows
But
what he's at. Creflo.
it's so funny. Yeah, I think it's also interesting as well. Like, before I kind of go into what my middle felt like, I think it's interesting because as much as the name Creflo Dollar has become associated with a lot of like controversy and corruption, all of these things, like, it's still kind of wild to me that people have actually also received from
Isn't
him.
it mad?
I think it's wild.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
I do think it's wild.
I know.
Like,
usually when I tell that story, I don't say the name.
Okay.
Because it's like, of all the people.
All
like,
the people. And like, I don't know. For me, I think it points to God's grace.
Really?
That God is actually gracious. Because as much as I can be like, Creflo Dollar has said this and that and this and that, I've also said and done a lot of this and that. Do you know what I mean? And even as
I'm going to push back on that in a minute, but carry on.
That's fair. Like, because I want to be able to hold both sides in tension. Like, hold your responsibility for your wrong actions, because we cannot act like this didn't happen. And also be able to recognize that you have brought about some positive change. Like, somebody has received. Somebody has heard from Jesus through you. And like, while you haven't been the best reflection, at least you've tried to reflect. And it is difficult to balance. And it's one of the areas where I've really struggled in my faith at times, and I had this conversation with my mentor. I was like, why does God allow some of these preachers and teachers who aren't doing a good job to continue? Why does he allow them to continue? Like, if I was in his shoes, I would get them off the pulpit. I might even go as far as smiting them. I just might. But if I'm
Consider yourself smitten.
I'm just like, listen, if it was up to me, you're out of there in 2 minutes. You say you represent me the wrong way one time. I dare you.
But Franklin, like, I do think it is up to us. Like, God, it would seem that God doesn't go around the place smiting people, you know, like, but there have been so many Christian leaders, and, you know, particularly in charismatic and Pentecostal circles, but not just. I mean, we could talk about Catholic priests and, like, that have done so much harm and have been so corrupt.
Yes.
And actually, I would see it now. Like, a big part of my journey of freeing my mind from religiosity, which I'm going to separate that out, you know, is fighting the narrative that you have to be silent. And maybe this is a real woman thing too, but like,
yes,
you know, be silent, don't cause trouble, don't upset the apple cart. Like, if you speak up in this situation, you will harm this church. And look what God is doing in this church. Do you want to be responsible for that? You know? And actually, I stayed silent in places where I should have spoken. And so I think when it comes to people who are corrupt, people like Creflo Dollar, God's maybe that's not the way God works, that he goes around smiting people, but actually I don't think it's our responsibility to speak up and to hold people accountable for the harms that they are doing, you know. So yes, something that came out of his mouth had an impact on my life, but maybe that's much more about the capacity of God or to just work things at right moments in people's lives, you know. You know, I'm reluctant to, like, you're just being much more gracious than I am in this moment, you know. But I do think that, like, if we love people and we care about harm happening to people, then it is a part of, you know, like, being a good Christian to speak up and speak out about things. And that might get you, like, people might not like that.
I agree. Like, I agree with what you're saying 100%.
Okay.
Like, I do. I think it's really important for Christians to speak out and to hold people accountable. I also think you can't hold people you aren't you can't hold people you don't have proximity to accountable. So I can't hold Creflo Dollar accountable to anything. Like, I don't even have access to him. Do you know what I mean? So, like, accountability, actually, the way I see it is it functions more within community. So if there's something
That's
crazy
fair.
going on in my community, you best believe I'm saying something.
Yeah.
And, like, I have a bad reputation among my friends because I'm the type of person to have an issue with everything.
Brilliant. I love it.
Who said-
my favorite kind of people.
Who said
Franklin.
what? They did what?
Excellent.
How? And, like, it's something that I've had to learn how to, refine. Or I've had to allow to be refined because I have a strong sense of justice and I can't enact justice on God's behalf. Like, I can't, how do I put it? Like, no, I can't pass judgment on God's behalf.
Okay.
Like, I can't be like, you've done this.
You're talking about judging people.
No, like the final verdict. So, like, if someone within my community has done something bad, I can be like, here's what I'm going to do to you because of what you have done. And here's what I'm doing because for God. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. If you slap my friend, I can be like, okay, because you slapped my friend, I'm going to punch you. But I can't be like, why did you slap my friend? Slapping my friend is wrong. And so, like,
You engage in a conversation about it.
Engaging conversation, confrontation, but I don't have to bring harm to the person.
No, not like through physical violence.
Not,
Well, you're talking about punching him in the face, so I'm like,
yeah, no, because I've had to, like, really, really sit with it and navigate it because, like, there is a Christian community, like, in where I am. Like, we have a community within ourselves and things happen within the community. And it's important to be able to address those things and hold individuals accountable. But it's also important to not throw people away, cast them aside, act like they... Yeah, like, almost act like they are now condemned. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And actually, I think this is very interesting to think about this, Franklin, because you're just talking about how you can't throw people away, right? And
Don't get
You're
me wrong,
talking-
I'm tempted to.
yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, like leadership is something that I think we need to differentiate, because particularly in the Christian church, leadership has been male and highly authoritative and hierarchical, and quite a lot of harm has come through that, you know, and I do think that accountability needs to be how do I say this? I hate this phrase, but like sometimes calling out things that are wrong or harmful is necessary. Now that probably won't do them very much harm. It will to you though. If you speak up or you speak out, and this is something that I've experienced, and yet I think that should happen.
Yes.
I'm glad I spoke up and spoke out about the things that I did.
Yes.
You know, and honestly, wish I had said more.
Fair.
I'm making up for that now. So that is important, I do think, and you know, it's like. This is across the board, Franklin. Like, you know, when injustice is happening, when people are being oppressed, I think it's Christ-like to speak up.
I agree.
To be allies, you know,
Absolutely.
to have solidarity and stand beside people who are being oppressed. I think this is really important, and that means speaking up sometimes, and sometimes that means speaking up to leadership.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important. But on a whole other kind of vein, what you were saying about we can't just get rid of people, I think that's really interesting and really important, because in various parts of our lives there are certain people that are like, they're just like a hassle, you know, they're like an obstacle.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, and you just like wish
God.
that they weren't there. I'm just like, can I not just get rid of you, like, you know, and there's this South American sort of sociologist, political writer. His name is Paulo Freire, and he wrote in the 1970s. And he has this phrase for this way of thinking about people who are just in your way, and he calls it necrophilic politics.
Wild.
Yeah, because you literally want to do whatever you want to do to them, and it would be just so much easier to do it if they were dead. They would have no autonomy or no control. You could do whatever you wanted to them. They'd just be dead. And so I have this, it's really weird, but I have this phrase in my head where I'm like, are you being necrophilic right now? Do you just want these people to be dead? Do you just wish they weren't here? And I'm like, watch yourself, Jodie. Like, stop it. You know, you can edit that out.
No, it's all good.
You know, so like, yeah, we cannot get rid of people. We have to deal with the people who are in front of us.
Yes.
And, you know, I think Christianity would teach us you have to do it with love and care.
And that's,
you know,
hard.
Yeah, that is hard, but that
really
is
hard.
That is important, you know, and I think too, like you're making me think about a lot of things, but like what you were talking about, justice within communities, I think that's really important too, because I'm kind of going off here, Franklin, but like,
you're good.
Hell, the concept of hell, to me somehow hell is a little bit necrophilic, because it is that like, oh, it's a place where you just put all the bad people, get rid of them, right? We don't have to think about them. They're in there having eternal conscious torment, but we don't have to think about them.
Because we're in heaven.
We're going to live in utopia forever, you know, and but they're, oh, thank God they're gone. And actually, I think we can save it for another podcast about hell, but I think that this concept of punishment and getting rid of people getting them out of the way because they're bad. They're bad people. You know, I do think that we have created hell on earth. We have created places where we put all the bad people and put them away so we don't have to look at them, and it's prison.
Yep.
We put them in prison.
Put them away.
Just put them away in prison.
We don't want to have to look at that. And
No.
like, it's literally that exact phrasing. We don't want to have to look at that. So we won't.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to see it.
And it's totally dehumanizing. Also, we call them like animals, scumbags. You know, we just put them in prison, and we never have to think about them again. And we celebrate, like, there's headlines all the time. So and so gets 20 years. So and so gets life, and it's like, excellent. You know. But like, to be honest, like, I don't see that in the images we get of Christ in the Gospels. Like, I don't. He saw people where they are at, and he dealt with them. And I think that actually, when we think about knowing our communities, this helps me to maybe think about restorative justice also, because actually, if you're harmed by a person, like you were talking about, he slapped your friend, right? You're actually in quite a good position there to be able to maybe talk, and you talked about dialogue, we're going to have a conversation, right? But what might be appropriate as some sort of a consequence or reparation for the harm that you've done, you know? And actually, I think that's quite a beautiful and even Christian model for how we would deal with things. But we have this punishment narrative in our head, you know? Put them away, punish them, let it be awful, let it be conscious, you know, let it be long term. And like, Franklin, you know, all around this world, like, we fire people into prisons, this hell on earth that we have created. And you and I know, like, those places are populated mainly by men of color, you know? So
Damn shame.
There are massive imbalances in the way we think about the conduct of people's lives and the ways that we punish different people. And I think, like, I think that's not good. And I think that if we're thinking about a fair and just world, these are some of the things we need to have to consider, you know? And if we have, like, a Christian impetus in us for justice and fairness, like, maybe these are some of the things we could put our energy into. But if our Christianity is interpreted in such a way, or framed in such a way, or understood in such a way, where punishment is the main event, and it is the main event because of total depravity, right? Then there will always be places of hell.
Yep.
We'll create them
We'll
because
create
of our punishment narrative, you know? And that doesn't allow space for us to think, and now I'm going to use Christian language in a positive way, maybe for the first time on this podcast, but actually for kingdom thinking. So for me, one of the things that I think is very redemptive about the Christian story is the concept of the kingdom of God. And, you know, in Luke, when Jesus is sending out the disciples, he says to them, minister to the poor, take care of the widow and the orphan, the downtrodden, heal the sick. And when you do these things, so when you bring improvement, justice, healing, care, love into people's lives, tell them the kingdom of heaven has come near.
Come on now.
And I think that God's upside down kingdom, his opposite way of doing things, like the first shall be last and the last shall be first, you know, where we go out into the highways and the byways and the prisons and the dark and awful places, and we invite people into a better place, a better world. The kingdom gives us the imagination to imagine a better world, and that can be massively transformative on this earth right now.
I think it can.
And potentially into eternity. But we can do that right now. And I think if we focused on those things, we wouldn't be seeing the horrors that we are seeing politically, and with mass, I'm thinking now of the war in Iran and things, massive kind of Christian narrative over that. Again, dehumanization, again, punishment, and I think I would love if we could take some of the beauty of Christianity and use it to upend some of this really harmful,
Yeah.
dehumanizing thinking about the people that exist in this world that God loves.
Yeah. No.
Done. Sorry.
No,
More
you're all
ranting.
good. No, you said some things, Jodie. You. Okay, because I wanna be able to like dive into it, and I also want to get my points right. Well, not right, but like I want to get my thoughts together.
Yes.
Like, because as we started the conversation, we were kind of talking about growing up within a sin and punishment narrative, and how that puts you in a position where you see yourself as depraved. And so moving through life, all you experience is sin and punishment, shame and guilt, all of that. And then we kind of moved into talking about conflict and wrongdoing, and then that sin and punishment narrative. And so when there is wrongdoing within a community, it's like this person needs to be punished. This person needs to experience what they have put onto me, and let it be real and let it be conscious. But what that does is it just perpetuates sin and judgment.
That's right.
And like the cycle continues. And so for the Christian, their role is to end that cycle. And it's difficult because sometimes the Christian is the one who has been wronged.
Yeah.
The Christian is the one who has been harmed. And like, I see it with Jesus because that's what he did. Like, there was a cycle of sin and shame and guilt and judgment. And we see that perpetuated by the Romans in how they kind of oppressed the Jewish people within that time. And we also see it with the Pharisees and how they misrepresented God. So they would have been the religious leaders of the time. And they had this narrative of sin and punishment. So they saw a sick person and a sick person, a poor person. It's like, your parents must have sinned.
That's right.
You
You're
must
getting
have
what you
sinned.
deserve.
You're getting what you deserve. And those very people Jesus came and loved. So within the community, Jesus held the religious leaders accountable. Jesus loved the people who weren't being loved, who were being subject to that sin and judgment.
Yes.
And like, he creates this redemptive image. Like, there has been a cycle, and Jesus comes in and ends that cycle. And that cycle is with love. And it's so interesting as well that though Jesus condemned the actions of the Pharisees, they were also open to experiencing the redemption that came through his death and resurrection. And so as much as they were held accountable, there was also hope for them. And like, I think it's really important as people who follow Jesus to navigate life in that way, to navigate struggle, conflict, difficulty, because when we look at it purely through the lens of sin and judgment and retribution, we are actually not creating room for Christ to do the thing that he does best, which is redeem, which is restore, which is resurrect. And where it's really difficult, especially for me, is when I've been hurt. Because when I've been hurt, anybody can get it. When you hurt me, I'm swinging back. You hurt me, oh, like, we're getting into it. And like, for me, I've had this narrative surrounding myself, and it is a self-righteous one, but I've had this narrative that I'm a good person. And so like, why are bad things happening to me? Like, it makes sense for it to happen to that guy. That guy does bad things. But like, why me? Like, I don't hurt anybody. I don't steal. I don't cheat. I don't do anything. And bad things are happening to me, and I'm a good person. And so it makes me feel like I then have to perpetuate that sin and that judgment, because this shouldn't be happening to me, so I need to put it back to where it came from. But as people who follow Christ, recognizing that even in the places of injustice, even when the injustice is towards us, that there's room for redemption. That's the hard work of being a Christian. And it is extremely difficult because to some extent you have to put away your rights to be offended. And Jodie, that is like it's literally like, I understand how painful and frustrating this is. And if I care about this person, then I can open the door to their restoration. And so this is even bigger than me. And like, I come from a background of abuse. That is a difficult conversation to have in such a background, because it is not that those involved cannot be held accountable. We have to be able to have those conversations. The way Jesus had conversations about accountability and addressed leadership, had to have that conversation. But if I were then to say, in the bin, you don't get a chance at redemption, then I'm perpetuating that sin and judgment. And so it's the balance of accountability, responsibility, and love and redemption. And so it's almost like, the way I've experienced it is, this is my part, this is their part. Holding accountability, holding responsibility is my part. And then I can open the door to redemption. But if you don't partner with that, nothing can happen here. And like, you see such a story with the parallels between Peter and Judas. Because Peter and Judas both did bad things.
We all do bad things.
And like, these would have been people who were really close to Jesus. So like, low key, what Peter did was kind of worse. Because Peter rejected him. He was like, nah. Like, Judas acknowledged Jesus and sold him out. Jesus was like, Peter was like, I don't even know the guy, which is wild. He did it 3 times. After the night before, he was like, I would never do that to you. That's crazy. Like, it would be the equivalent of the police coming and taking you for what you didn't do. It's like, oh, they planted drugs in your car, they came to take you. And your best friend is like, I don't know that guy.
I know.
That's an insane betrayal.
I know.
And like, so there is the sin, there is the infraction. And then Judas doesn't partner with the potential for redemption. He doesn't. Jesus' hand is still open. Jesus still loves him. But Peter allows himself to be subject to that narrative of sin and punishment and shame and guilt. And he just falls. And in the end, he takes his life. But Peter allows himself to be open to that. And then when Jesus extends his hand, Peter takes it.
Yeah.
And like, what I focus on in situations like that is, we have all done wrong. We are all going to do wrong. And it's hard. It's really hard, because when you're on the receiving end, it feels like injustice. And sometimes we don't think about the time where we've been on the giving end. Because during my wild midpoint of my life, I did some crazy things. And like, they're not so crazy that I'm just a depraved sinner and there's no hope for me. But it is crazy enough that like, I've done the things that people do. I've been to the places that people go. The types of harm that you see in the world, I've caused them. Do you know what I mean? So like, I've had just as much of a part to play as other people. Like, there were relationships where I was in where I was emotionally abusive. And it's so, I can't even say it's hard to admit, but admitting that means that the hurt that I've experienced, I've also caused for somebody else. And I've asked for forgiveness for the hurt that I have caused. And so when the person who's caused me hurt asks for forgiveness, I can't be a hypocrite.
So, Franklin, has there been a request for forgiveness then? Is there an acknowledgement of...
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
That's kind of different though, isn't it?
It is. Like, in my situation, it's different, but like, I've opened the door. Do you know what I mean? Like, that door is open to... And I guess that's another part. If there is no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, then there can't be reconciliation. Do you know? There can't be. It's not going to happen. But like, as the Christian, it feels like a form, and this isn't a term I love. It's also a term Jesus uses, but hey.
We can talk to him about that later.
Like dying to self. It feels like a form of dying to self. Like, because when you've been hurt, your natural reaction is that kind of like knee-jerk, I need to protect myself. And that's almost where recognizing that Jesus went through injustice too. Like, Jesus went through injustice too. And like false accusation, that crazy injustice. They, like, because we have the self-righteousness of, I do good things. I'm a good person. I don't hurt anyone. I actually actively try to help people. And then we look at Jesus, and Jesus went around healing sick people and like providing food out of nothing, which is like a really nice thing to do. Like really, really nice things.
Yeah.
Loving things, caring things. And he still went through extreme difficulty and extreme injustice. And he still opened up the door to redemption.
Yeah.
For us who follow him, there is a responsibility to follow in those footsteps if we want to see positive change in our community.
So, like, Franklin, I guess what I would say to you about all that is, like, a few things. But, you know, I think coming from difficult upbringing, and particularly with abuse, like, what that does is it causes us to believe certain things about ourselves, you know, and some of those beliefs can be very negative and actually untrue, you know. And like you were just saying, you know, we maybe inhabit certain identities or personas that we project to protect ourselves in those settings, you know. It's kind of like what we were talking about before we were recording about, like, what's really me and what is a projection or a protection, you know, a persona that I've created, and what parts of this are harmful to me and others, you know. And I think really just like sitting down and like listing them out, you know, and just being like, wait, you know, what part of this is like a really negative self-belief that I have established because of these really crappy things that I grew up with, you know. And from there we can begin to kind of think about letting go of certain of those parts of ourselves, which might be difficult because they keep us safe, right?
Yep.
But if they are protecting us so well that nobody else can get in, or, you know, we cannot ever really be real with people, then I think, you know, it's the work, right? It's a healing work to let that go. And I think, you know, having a faith can give support on that journey of healing. And certainly Christ in his time on earth always presented himself as a healer, you know. And I think we have healing work to do, and maybe having Christ walk beside you can be a help in that. And then I think in relation to sort of those people that caused the harm, and obviously I know it can be very tangled relationships, not ones that you can, like, in that kind of, you know, put them in prison or put them in hell or necrophilically let them die, you know, like, you can't. You can't. You're too tangled, you know, like it's complicated.
You put them in prison, everybody has to go in prison.
All the people got to go in prison.
And now there's no one around you. It's like, how do we, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's a very good point, Franklin.
It's complicated.
Yeah. But, you know, so I think that doing that work, doing that healing work is important. And as you go on that journey, as you go gently on that journey, and as Christ walks gently beside you on that journey, you know, you reach certain Ebenezers, certain milestones, you know, and at that point there may be times where a little bit extra letting go, a little bit of extra, if we want to use Christ's words, forgiveness become available to us, you know, but we've got to go gently on that journey.
We do.
And I think that's okay. You know, if we're trying to like model some perfect kind of like, I've forgiven them, I'm a Christian.
Yeah, that's negative. Right?
Yeah, you know, like, just go gently on the journey and allow it to unfold in its time, you know. And like, you're young, Franklin, you know, you're on your journey, and, you know, go gently. Yeah, because it's not easy, and there, as I was saying earlier, like, this life is just seasons that we go through, and it's okay to be in the season that you're in, and move through it gently.
No, for sure. Like, I think time plays a huge part. Time plays a massive part, and I think as Christians, sometimes we don't respect how much time it actually takes and how much processing it requires. Like, kind of like you said, we want that instant, I forgive them, let's move on. But
Yeah, look at me, I'm a good Christian. It's doing the same thing again, right? Franklin is just like projecting an image of being good.
Of being good.
That maybe certain people in our lives might be, you know, pleased with that or proud of that, you know, but what's the point in pretending? That's my motto for life.
Yeah.
What is the point in pretending? So much pretending in the Christian church, Franklin. So much pretending. And like what?
Jodie, don't get me started,
Does
man.
that make you happy?
Don't get me
Your
started,
life
man.
is going to shit, but you're pretending that it's not. So good for you if that's what makes you happy. Like, who are we trying to impress? Why are we pretending?
I think within our communities, because I look at it a lot through a community sense, like every church is its own community. I think within our communities, we don't have as many real relationships as we think we do. Within our Christian communities, we have a lot of like church relationships. So we will come together and talk about church, and we'll discuss Bible and doctrine, and like it's all cool. I'm doing my Christian responsibilities, but we don't have real relationships where we allow people to see all of us. Because like we've been speaking about that kind of being shaped to project the perfect image, and nobody actually knows what's going on in my head. I think within a lot of our communities, we don't have people who know what's going on in our head, and we don't allow it because
we're afraid of what's going on in our own head.
It's shame and guilt.
Yeah.
It's like we don't think this is acceptable as almost even like as creation, and then as Christians, it's like, no, this can't be me. Like I can't even like express this thought. And so we rarely navigate life together. We're all just kind of like, I've actually thought about it before, and the image I have for it is, it's like we allow people to look through the window and we tidy up the living room so they see something good, but like nobody actually knows about what's going on in the rest of the house.
That's right.
So like everybody has the living room image, and like everybody has a really nice living room. Like you got your Bible verses, everybody shows up to the Bible study.
All the
and
like throwaway little, but sure, praise
Jeremiah
God.
29,
you know,
11,
yeah.
but God is good.
God is good, sure.
But like, and I think for me, because I had a period of like a crisis in my faith where I was just like, I'm actually so tired of this shit. Like, I don't want to do this. Is so exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm actually so tired of pretending.
Yeah.
And coming out of that, I had a conversation with God, and my commitment was, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be real with everybody.
Yeah.
And if stuff burns down, cool. But like, I'm not pretending anymore. And so like,
you, Franklin.
Being real with faith, in a lot of ways, it can alienate you, because
100%.
a lot of people don't want to be as real, because real actually means acknowledging the parts of you that are not fully healed.
Yeah.
And the parts of you that are not fully holy.
Yep.
It's like, hey, listen, man, sometimes I want to beat people. So, hey, sometimes I just want to headbutt somebody.
Are so freaked out by that. They're like, they don't know what to do with it.
Like, don't say that.
Why are you, what?
It's like, I'm just expressing the thought, bro.
They get really concerned. They're like, crap, like, I probably should pray for him or something. Or like, oh no, like, this is probably really serious. Like, what am I supposed to do now? They just can't handle it.
Yeah. Like, we're also really soft. We're so soft. And like the conversations in the Bible study are like, oh yeah, you know, sometimes I just like, I just don't feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. And it's like, will you shut up? What are you talking? This guy talking. Sometimes I'm hungry. Sometimes I'm just horny as heck and I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like staring at the wall and I'm like, Lord, I need to have sex with somebody. I'm gonna lose my mind. Sometimes that's life. But like, we don't have those conversations.
Why not? Because we're pretending.
Because we're scared.
We're pretending.
But I think, and like, this is the type of platform I would like the bench to be. I would like it to be navigational, where we can have these conversations, because as much as we can try to polish ourselves, God sees us as who we truly are.
Yeah.
And he also wants us to be like that, because if we can, and I think about it a lot. I think about it a lot when I think about my younger brothers, because I would love to be able growing up, I didn't really have Christian role models. And it's not necessarily being a role model, but I would love for them to be able to see someone who wants to serve God and will be honest about it, at the very least. I may never reach the highest heights. Cool. But if they can experience me as someone who serves Jesus and is going to be honest about it, I think that's okay. And I think that will do a lot more for them than me showing them spiritual accolades.
Completely.
Like, because that's what's like, I've had examples of people who've modeled that for me, who will be like, I love Jesus Christ, and man, some days I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like, some days I just want to jump off a cliff. Like, I've had people model that for me, and I'm like, oh, this is acceptable.
Like, Franklin, I think that I think we have this idea in our heads, and it didn't get there by accident. Preachers and whatnot put it in our heads, and that is like, Christians are good, non-Christians are bad.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, because
That's
like
so stupid. We're human. We're just human beings.
Yeah.
We are all human beings on this earth. If you happen to be a Christian, then you have a worldview, and you have a kind of a narrative and a moral framework that guides your life. It doesn't stop you from being a human being.
Doesn't stop you from...
It doesn't change you from being a human being. Like, you're just the same as everybody else with a certain worldview, except that you have a certain worldview and a certain moral framework. I guess you want to say maybe a kind of a reality of a spirituality that we want to maybe acknowledge, but nonetheless,
you're just another guy.
You're just another person. You're just another person.
Just another guy.
Literally. And so all the human struggles that we all have, we just all have.
Yep.
And being a Christian doesn't stop any of that. It's not a wonder drug. It's not, we can't engage in magical thinking. Like, we just can't, you know? So we have to hold reality with an acknowledgement of a beautiful meta-narrative. And there is so much redemptive about it. And there is ways in which it can be really beautiful, but it isn't magical in that sense. It's not, you know? And I don't think that if we see Christ in the Gospels, I don't think he ever presents it as magical, you know? He's very real, very embodied, very engaged in very earthy and practical things, you know? And most of those things are centered around love and care and healing. And maybe, like, I know we probably have to end soon, but, like, maybe I could just say one thing about the concept of healing. What time are we on?
We're on...
yeah, I have to go. I'm just going to say one last thing.
Okay.
But coming back to my whole thing on kind of judgment and everything, like, do you know what we call, in a certain framing, what Christ did on the cross? We call it penal substitutionary atonement. Penal substitutionary atonement. So the word penal is in there, first of all. Penal, again, making us think of punishment, and prison, which we've talked about. Prison, of course, metaphor, earthly metaphor for hell and damnation. Substitutionary atonement. Okay, so this is giving us the frame of, like, my sin, the thing that I did, like I had the impure thought, or I had the jealousy, or I had the anger, or whatever I had. Oh, darn it, now I'm going to have to, you know, go to prison, go to hell. Oh, if only I could have some penal substitutionary atonement. Great, Christ died on the cross. That's great. Okay, that's one way we can frame that, okay? But that's not the only way you can frame it. And large swaths of Christian history frame it in a very slightly, and I think more beautiful way. And N.T. Wright talks about this, so I'm not being completely off the wall doctrinally or anything, but it's very orthodox, like Eastern Orthodox. So the way that they frame what Christ did on the cross theologically is they say this world had a problem. And the problem that this world had was sin. And sin broke the world. And sin leads to things like oppression, dehumanization of people, capitalism, mammon, right? The world system, like the brokenness of all of the injustice, cruelty and abuse and pain and war and violence in this world. It's a problem. It's a problem, right? It's a problem.
It's a problem.
What can be done? What can be done? And there is something quite beautiful about the concept that the God who is the creator thinks, okay, in order to do something about this, I need to become a human person myself. I need to be embodied. And something about me being embodied, and something about me having solidarity with the most broken and the most marginalized, the most powerless, rejected and weak, and actually dying the kind of a death that so many of these people have died throughout the course of history. So many people have died in horrific degradation, even worse than the cross. Thousands of normal people, men and women and even children, have died worse deaths than that and suffered more in their lives. But the concept of God becoming a man and having this experience of solidarity and living out of a place of love and then dying in the same way as these other people, Eastern Orthodox people would say what that did is through that experience of human solidarity lived out by God, it brought the capacity for healing, for this world to heal, for the oppression and the wars and the violence and the brokenness and overarching all of that, sin, to be healed. Christ is a healer. And if we see that and we look at the work on the cross, maybe less as penal substitutionary atonement, but rather as a work of healing, a God work of healing of this earth and the problem of sin that overarches this earth, then we can say to ourselves something like, if God cared enough about the brokenness and the injustice in this world to take action to bring solidarity and healing, what should my life be? And I would say my life should be a partaking in that work of healing on this earth. And how can we bring healing and justice and care and love to people? And if our faith is framing it in such a way that we're seeing people as a problem that need to be gotten rid of, we are just missing the point, Franklin. Jesus just reached out in love to people. And I would hope that we can always frame Christianity out of a place of love and care and healing.
Yeah. That's a good way to end. I have nothing to add to that. That was beautiful.
The end.
The end. No, I actually hadn't even. Yeah, I'm gonna watch back over this. I need to make some notes on that. That's real serious.
It's all the stuff I've been thinking about for all the years.
No, lovely. If you ever
and
want to come
reading
back,
about, I'm not just like making stuff up.
If you ever want to come back on and say some more words, I would love to have you. This has
Anytime.
been so fun. Sorry, I think my brother's calling me.
And I need to go and pick up Gracie. So
Okay.
Am I good to go, Franklin?
You are good to go. You are good to go.
Cool.
If you want to run out, I'll just close the episode.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
Bye, everyone.
See you soon.
See you on. I'm giving you a high five. A side high five.
Okay.
I'll see you on Sunday.
I will see you on Sunday.
Will I?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll be around.
I'll
Okay.
be on Sunday. I'll take my bag.
No worries.
I'll give you a text later. It was
Okay.
great.
No worries. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. But yeah, guys, that was the episode. I had Jodie on. I hope you liked it. It was real fun. That was real cool. So excited for when this comes out. But yeah, if you have watched this far, thank you so much. I love you with all my heart. I pray that this conversation has encouraged you, motivated you, strengthened you, all the things. If you like this conversation, stick around for more of the cool things. I'm going to go eat some food. Glory, hallelujah. I'm going to go eat some food. I'm so hungry. But yeah, I'll catch you beautiful people next week. Talk to you soon. Peace. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew.